Don't say donut. We know that Matt like toys with us. I think he does that. I think he does it to get a rise out of everyone because it always works. But what do y'all think? Who's going down?
I think we're gonna lose Imani. I think it'll have a really big emotional impact on the whole group and kind of
Okay.
tear them apart. They kind of feel
I
like
know.
they're like foreshadowing it with the whole like assassin being sent after her, and Carl's like that was the right move.
Well, we
So I feel
didn't
like if she were to die, then
kill Louis, but we effectively kind of removed him from the group. So if those
mm-hmm.
I
are
think
the two
I think
linchpins of the team,
Amani and Louis. I think Amani and Louis leaving the dungeon is actually going to happen. I don't know if they'll be killed, but I know they'll be out of the story.
so
Well,
I asked this going into this book, on our pre-show, but are we going to get, because he's been tight-lipped about what's going on outside of the dungeon. The next book, are we going to get to see more of that, do y'all think?
I
yeah.
hope so. At least in like interludes. I would love a Katya interlude.
I was
For
expecting
sure.
one,
Yes,
you know.
I
Well,
was sad to not get a Katya interlude.
it wasn't until the end of the book that we got what's kind of happening outside of it, right? With Victory and all that stuff and Quasar, like what's currently happening. So it's like, what what's the next step, right? And then, like you said, like Louis been removed from the group, but obviously, at least in this next book, there's going to be two separate groups doing something major within the dungeon.
So a quick note on Louis, like we had a smaller group last week for the live on Monday, but I showed a clip where they were interviewing Denneman, and he admitted that he he wrote himself as Louis. Louis is like his personality that he wrote into the book. And so I don't I mean maybe he will like kill his personality within the book, but you see authors do this sometimes where they cameo themselves, but we spent so much time developing Kadia's character that I was really surprised that she wasn't in Parade of Horribles. Dare I say disappointed because that's one of the few small disappointments I had with Parade of Horribles is that I am invested in Katia as a character,
Mm-hmm.
and I missed her, not being there.
Well,
Yeah.
and at
Yeah,
the end of 7, you're like, you want more Katya. You're like, okay, I can't wait for 8 because of the expansion of that part of the story for sure.
Yeah, we're all wondering what's going on with her, and
Yeah, we didn't
who's
get
I
it
seeing
mean,
her.
honestly, I think one of the things that hit me the hardest in the whole book was the her whole first half where Carl would turn around to say something to Katya and she wasn't there. Like it happened
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 times pretty early in the book. It didn't really mention it much later, but early on, like he kept going to say something to Katya and she wasn't there, and I'm like, dealing with things that I've dealt with in my life. It's pretty poignant for me. So
Yeah, just like forgetting that they're not there. And I mean, he didn't even have to remind us because we were thinking it through the book. I know pretty much everybody was, just feeling her absence. But that took some restraint from Matt as an author, not even to touch on her storyline as it was happening. And we didn't get much of Lucia Marr either. And you drop what's going on with her and Katia and like what's happening in that, and then we just drop it for a whole book. Like that's a pretty impactful thing that's going on there.
Is he trying to create that space so that when he drops them back in like late of first half of book 9, or in the later book 9, that it's just going to be this huge moment? That's what my head goes.
He's built the suspense up, and they say the suspense is built in the narrative by walking around something that you continually think's about to happen. But I don't know that anyone's like set it up for a whole book though. where they at the end of book 7, you drop what's, you explain the mechanics of what's going on inside of Lucia Mar's head, and you spend time setting that up. Then you send Kati out to the dungeon to deal with it, and then we just don't touch it. Like that shows us that just say what you want to say. Matt's doing whatever the hell he wants to do with these books, and so
That's for sure.
See, I'm also wondering something here is, there's another author I follow. His name is Ralph Bloodthorn, and he did something similar where he took a major part of the story and ejected it from the story, and then after the story was done, turned around and wrote a whole new series on what happened with that. Makes me wonder if Matt maybe isn't doing that.
I would kind of be okay with that.
I would read that.
Yeah.
A lot of authors, like you don't want the series to go on so long that the author gets tired of it, and so you want them to get to the end of the main plot and resolve the plot. And having 10 chunky books like what Matt's writing here, like you look at other people's series, and 9 books is a really long series to start with. You don't see book deals like 5 book deals are pretty rare now in the trad publish thing. They're pushing to 3, and you better have a logical endpoint at the end of 1 in case number 1 doesn't do well. So having somebody get through 9 books like this, we don't want an R.R. Martin where he gets tired of writing or somebody messes it up or something. Yes. And then we don't finish. Like, imagine how would y'all feel if, he plotted out 15 books and got to 14 and stopped. Wheel of Time level, quit.
Yes.
It's just hard to quit a series when your book 8 hits New York bestseller #1 in weeks.
Yeah, and you're one of the top.
I thought it hit #1 bestseller within 4 hours of it coming live.
Oh, sure, right, but it's
Probably.
crazy now.
He's one of the top earners on Patreon. The audiobooks pay the most royalty out of any medium in novels. His audiobook's probably the most successful audiobook in the business right now. Everybody I know reads it on Kindle Unlimited while probably listening to the audiobook, and who has bought or plans to buy the full stack of Neon hardcovers for their shelves.
I'm halfway through the stack. I already had the whole stack, and I had the first 2 soft covers, books 1 and 2 soft covers, but they got stolen back in January.
Oh man.
You're talking about these?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
have
had my
one.
house broken into, and they stole all of my books.
And all the comic books come down.
I know, books
At least the
shouldn't be
thief
stolen.
at least they had good taste,
There's
I
the
believe
popularity of the dungeon right there. That's a ringing endorsement. They went in and stole his dungeon crawler books. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
They got all my Dungeon
That's
Crawler Carl,
depressing.
and they got all of my Aragorn series, because I had all of those signed,
Oh,
and they got all of my Pierce Browns.
All right,
They have
don't
good
move where
taste at
Tony is.
least, you know?
well,
It was the movers that moved me. We figured out who it was.
Oh,
But the
what?
stuff is already gone.
that's pretty common.
Yeah, they stole a spare house key. I drive an 18-wheeler, and at the time I was driving over the road, they moved me, and 2 days later I went on the road, and they knew they had time to come in.
Rough stuff.
That's
Oh.
awful.
Is my mic messing up for you guys?
No, everything sounds good.
Sounds pretty good.
Okay. I'm getting a feedback on it. I wasn't sure if it was messing up on y'all's end.
So let's get in briefly to Donut's prophecies.
Hmm.
Concerning.
Yes.
What changed?
Hold on.
What does this mean for Donut? Matt's setting her up. He's been teasing us. Harbinger of Doom. Assassin of Sekhmet. Champion of Nekabit. AKA Odette.
Fell.
Oakfell.
Yes.
The oak fell.
What? She's getting some notoriety here for a cat. What are y'all's predictions of how this plays out in the narrative moving forward?
So I have a theory on that.
Okay.
So we know Apido is dead but not dead.
Right.
We know Apito is trying to get put back together, and we know it's possible because of what's going on with Brittany. We know that if Brittany can get whatever that stone is to some shrine on level 15, she can what's her name? The god that she's being possessed by.
Yasalta.
Assaulty. Yeah, that's it.
Assaulty.
I know the other name, but I didn't want to say that on live.
And yes. And we know Samantha is one of the pieces.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think they're gonna put Apito back together, and I think Dona's the one that's gonna kill her.
Oh, I like that.
I think
that
that's
sounds
the whole
about
prophecy
right.
point.
Yeah.
Because she's
Isn't that
the
what the whole
Oathfell.
Oathfell
but
thing
She's
is
the
about?
bane of Apito.
Mhm.
But how does
Right.
that?
Yes.
How would that? Is Samantha on the team? And if so, if Samantha is a pedo, and because Samantha's done some selfless things to save people on the team, like I've seen some dualism from her, and I know you can't trust the gods, and maybe it's setting us up for a grand betrayal by Samantha vis-a-vis Scolopendra, or however it is that's gonna how that's gonna work out. But
Samantha's considered a mercenary for us at this point, right?
yeah, she's
Yes.
a hired mercenary. Yes.
Yeah.
But did y'all notice something else weird at the very end of the book? All of the other mercenaries and all of the other NPCs that wound up going to another floor can't message back. But she did.
Well, but so she's a god, and the AI says that
Yeah.
I can control everything but the gods, and so
Exactly.
she's straddling.
She
the
only.
line.
I thought she only messaged Louis. Did she message like Carl and?
You just messaged Louis.
She messaged Carl.
I thought she
No,
only
it was
messaged
Louis.
Louis, and I assumed that meant she was on the 15th floor with Louis, and then we're gonna have a whole like side quest with Louis and Samantha and Brittany.
That's kind of how I took it too.
Yeah.
It's
That
her.
might be possible. I may
it's
have
her
missed that.
messaging
I've listened
Louis.
to it
Well,
twice,
but isn't there a rule against hiring gods as mercenaries, or no?
Well, she's not full god though.
But she's not.
She's
Yeah,
a withering
right.
spirit.
She's considered
She's a
a withering
withering
spirit.
She's
Yeah.
considered a withering spirit. Yeah.
And didn't she like cease, like stop being their mercenary when she left? Like she's no longer their mercenary anymore anyway.
Yes.
I believe so. At the end of 8, I believe she was. That's what happened. She was transferred to the floor, and it dislodged her from being a mercenary.
So she has to be on floor 15 because she teleported right after Louis. So I don't know what's going on with that.
So this is how scary would it be to be an author and to have your lore analyzed and broken down for continuity at this level? Like you write a book, you go through, each book is 600 pages average. What would y'all say? 600-ish on the hardcovers.
Probably.
No,
Yeah,
they're
probably
longer than that. Oh no, they're not.
There's a couple of
They-
longer.
they
and a
feel
couple
longer.
Shorter,
I say there's a few shorter books. That way, the longer books actually wind up averaging less.
so we're
Yeah,
at
because Horribles is 688.
I would say we're at somewhere around 500. Like we're at, from a word count standpoint, he's dropping about 200,000 words per book right now. So we go through 9. We're at 100. We're at how many? Like almost 2 million words, and or longer than that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 1.6 million words, and you can't have a continuity gap because people are gonna find it.
Oh, I was seeing that interview with Matt recently where he's talking about his Excel spreadsheet. Now he has 280 some odd tabs to keep track of everything. Oh my god, yeah, I can't even imagine.
I can't. No.
Well, that's
What I want to see is after he's done with the series, he says he drew a map of the 3rd floor of the Tangle, or the 4th floor. I want to see that map.
The map?
Because I'm curious. I did the math one day. Somebody was complaining that you can't follow the trains, and I did the math one day, and at 25 stairwells per train line, it winds up being like 430 lines, or
Yeah,
like 429 because there's extras at the end of the line too.
I think it was actually 486. But did you? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking about? Have you done the physical forms, Tony? Have you seen the maps that are actually in book 3?
No, I don't have book 3. I had just bought it the day before I moved and hadn't even cracked the cover when that one got stolen. Because I had
So
3,
there's
4, and 5.
there's some maps that have been leaked. I mean, there is a very basic rudimentary explanation of the stations and so on and so forth in their map, but there's some other ones online that are pretty interesting.
Well, I know some people have drawn some, but I know. Well, at least the last interview that I saw that he talked about it, he didn't. He had said he'd not released them.
Mm.
He'd not released his maps yet.
That book was ambitious to start with, and it probably, if any of the books dropped fan base, it was that one because it was so difficult. Like they call it blocking in writing. It's like picturing where you're at and the spatial like continuity of where you are in your mind. And the blocking in that book was really difficult. But the next question I have on my list is, okay, we know more about what a primal is now. Like we've had some more explanation of primals and what primals represent. What do you guys think? Is there any new significance to Carl being a primal? How does that change his relationship with the AI? Chrissy, I want to hear from you on this.
Mm.
I don't know. I always suspected that the primals were like the AIs, somehow like turned themselves into this computer-like entity with no body. I don't know how that is going to like affect Carl because the AI even said they used to be like a person in a physical body, and then they all chose to join. So I think maybe Carl could merge with the crazy AI to kind of take him over, and then he can become the primal that runs Earth when he wins the dungeon. It's the only thing I could think he'd go there, but it's
Or if
I
he kills
don't want
the
that.
AI. What if he kills the AI? Could he supplant the AI as a primal for
I
controlling
don't think
the
you
system?
can kill. I think because the AI was talking about like merging and becoming one, not like dying.
Well, we know they can
necessarily.
die because they send them into the sun, right? Like they kill them, and like the AI is mad because on a galactic scale, they've done to the AIs and his people what they're doing to Earth and to Carl, and so that's part of the AI's like rage motivation that it has, and Carl gets some of that same rage, and
Yeah.
clearly the AI's crazy, and I guess it's like the circular, I got beat when I was a kid, so I beat kids like type of thing where like it's passing down some of the the what do they call it, trauma inheritance, from that standpoint, or feel justified in it. So that's always been a unique dynamic to me whenever I look at the AI. Is
I thought in the lore drop, I thought that they revealed that like the OIs are some of the AIs that were launched into the stars.
Yeah, and Carl was listed as one of those, right? And so was
Well,
Donut, wasn't she?
No. In the end, when they talk about what the OIs are, there are other intelligences outside of the central system that are now vying for power now that they're making the move. So, like, now that the AI has completely gone off the rails to the point where, like, it looks like it's going to destabilize the central system and all that stuff, the other artificial intelligences that have the ability to do similar things are now making their move, and that's why they're called OIs. That's why he gets that spell at the end of the book that says that he can do things to OIs, and he's like, "What's an OI?" And it's like, "You'll find out later," because like Mordecai doesn't even know what it is.
and do you think that other OIs connected to the tunnel network?
Possible.
Probably.
Because
I think they have to be.
I know that our AI does our AI have a name? Like they
Growler.
He's just the AI.
No,
George the AI.
Jonah hasn't named the AI yet.
That's odd that we haven't named the AI. I feel like if Carl told the AI it had a name, it would accept that name and insist it would be called that from then on. But we know that it has access to the tunnel network, and we know that it has expanded exponentially because of it, and has been, I think, eating other planets. Am I using the right terminology there? Because to become more, all the manuses and stuff like that. Like
The apothecary, yeah. Well, and that's
Yeah.
what it always goes back to me is that moment when he's talking about that the intrepid, that ship that came across that was investigating the primal shipyard that was like all the primals were decimated, and that's where the apothecary, and that's where everything started in the galaxy. There has to be something there, but there's also some theories coming up in my chat talking about the river and how until Carl can overcome the river, he's not going to be able to overcome the AI. And so
That's
right.
interesting.
What is
like,
our
because-
theory what the river is?
Well, I think
always
that
thought it was something
yeah. Go ahead, Kay.
sinister and related to his primal race, especially now that we know
Me
they're
too.
kind of hive minds.
Mhm.
And with Carl's primal race, like he has all these moments where like he went into Katya's mind, and then in book 8, Brittany spoke into his mind, which I feel like that maybe has something to do with him being a primal.
Right. And
So I think
Wilkie
that
in my
maybe
chat,
plays
it says the river is a collection of all the primals combined together. Is a theory.
I like that theory.
I could see that, or it's just the voices of all the existing. Like if it's a hive mind, it's a language that he can't speak yet, but he's getting the message
Connected.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
It makes me think
part
of
of it
like
too,
if anyone's watched the animated Avatar, Aang being in the Avatar state, how he can like channel all the avatars before him when he's in the Avatar state. That to me is kind of what the river is like. Like once he embraces it, he'll have access to all the information from all the primals before him.
It's possible.
Well, part of what kind of piques my interest on the Hell question is, they talked about the fact that what they're mining from the planet Earth can fit on one ship. What they're mining are basically the biological chips that are in every human that were on the planet, and they use those to feed the central system to keep it growing and all that kind of stuff. And it makes me wonder if now that the AI knows that, if it didn't just take all those instead of letting them take them to the central system, and that's
Right.
why it's growing so much.
Yeah, he does
On
say
the other
like
side of
he's
that too,
eating.
later in book 8, it
Mhm.
also talks about the fact that the primals, the ones that didn't join the collective, wound up splitting up and creating all these other races. So I guess technically everybody's a primal.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's or at least descended from.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, because like otherwise it wouldn't have the race selection. Okay, Angela, sexy Scolopendra. What's how are we gonna power scale her? What's she gonna do? She's starting out at level 1.
Bro, it's got me stressed. It's got me stressed.
It's gonna
Carl's gonna kill one
Cause
thing
so
on the
many
next floor,
problems.
and she's gonna go whoop and level, like because she's level 1,
Ooh,
and they share experience.
yeah.
Yeah, she's
So,
gonna power level. It's like taking your level one buddy with you on World of Warcraft.
But being Scolopendra, like from a stats standpoint, she's gonna scale and power differently than what a crawler might. I don't think anyone intended for her to be a pet. Like,
Well, she's a
No.
clone.
But also, like, I love the idea of her now being sentient in that way, and like being convinced to turn on what her original purpose was.
Yeah.
and
That-
being used for good.
Well, but then we also go into like, how's Carl going to react to it? Because we spent a long time on agency and on the morality of having some sort of, compelled infatuation or love of some sort. And like, Donut really got on her soapbox about this for a while. Just saying we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do
Never.
this. Ironically, ended up being the one who dropped the poison biscuit into the Cistera, and so what does that mean for how they react to Scolopendra, and how do they I guess give Scolopendra her agency back? Because otherwise it's just gonna be, I don't know how they're gonna deal with that.
Well, yeah, but like we said, they intended for her to be a pet and just be in the pet carrier, but now she is designated as a crawler, so she will level up like the rest of them. And so it's like we said, what's going to happen with now that she's in love with Carl, right? Is she going to turn on what's happening?
So does she level with Carl as a normal pet? Because Carl,
No, she's not a pet. She is a crawler.
She's a crawler now, so she won't be tied.
But she's in their party.
Yeah.
She's in their
And
party
madly
just
in
like
love with
Donut
Carl.
was. Yeah, and she's
I think
madly in
there's-
love with Carl. So they're gonna party up because as the other thing that, like we said, that at the end of that book, they all party together. All of them are partied together. So all it takes is one of them to kill something, and the experience share happens.
Do we now think that she can be used to kill Carl's bitch of a wife?
Well,
Yes, but I'm also,
that's funny.
but that's where my brain goes. But also, she Maria.
Oh yeah.
I see 3 different separate entities now pulling at Carl's fabric, if you will. And so I think there's going to be a major feud between those 3.
And interestingly,
I forgot about Shimaria.
Scolopendra has never had a true function as an entity in the history of the dungeon period, because no one's ever gotten
Never seen
that
her.
far. Yeah, and
Right.
so
And that's what I meant. Do we think that Scolopendra can now learn what role she's played, and now that she has all of the information, she makes her own choice, and she's like, "You're not going to use me like this anymore.
Mm.
I'm taking you all down."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a awakening
Possibly,
of an
but
NPC.
I think her
instead of
motivation's
Carl.
going to be because she is in love with Carl, and they talked about, like you said, she has no agency over that. So whatever choice she
Hopefully
makes is going to be whatever Carl kind of wants from her.
yeah, but
I don't know how they
Be-
can
be-
free her
be-
from that.
be real, Kana. If you're gonna get forced into loving somebody, would Carl really be the worst person on that could be
But
the
can we
object of
figure
the
out-
affections?
Can we
I
figure
mean-
out like a Mordecai potion to like kind of cull that?
We don't know.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
you don't want to get involved with him. He's going to buy you a $300 cat box for your birthday.
Wilkie's in the chat dropping some. All right, question: will Scolopendra now be able to be the body that Samantha could take over?
I thought that too.
It's a thought.
I don't know. Like that's a
Mhm.
fair question. I know that Scolopendra, that she's kind of the scavenger's daughter, right? Isn't that Scolopendra? Like, what does that mean?
I kind of have a fun theory on Scavenger's daughter based on a quote in the book.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'll read the quote. I pulled it up. Sometimes a Scolopendra is the scavenger, so the scavenger's daughter is a result of a Scolopendra union with someone else. So what if a union between Scolopendra and Carl now the scavenger's daughter? Like, what if she's not even in the book yet? And we've been
Kana, are
assuming?
you trying to get some
Ew.
smutty stuff into Dungeon Crawler Carl?
That's gross.
We've got
She's a literal centipede.
we've got 8 books and we haven't had any of that nonsense.
Please
in
no.
here yet, but-
Toes went mouth. That was pretty funny.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen on page, guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not. I don't know. Like, if they were gonna make that happen, then
Also,
it has
they
to-
could just jack Carl's DNA and make a lab baby. We don't know.
I just look forward to the audiobook version of that happening because you didn't think Jeff would ever top chapter 57, but you know, maybe he will.
And what is the eye called on Carl's chest? Isn't that the scavenger's daughter has closed her eye? Da da da.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
the eye on his chest is she Maria.
Sheep on his
The
chest.
scavenger's
It's his
daughter.
his-
That's the patch.
his patch.
That's the patch. That's the patch. Yes.
in the shape of a centipede.
And the
Mhm.
centipede on the skulls. Yes.
Scavenger's
Okay.
daughter
Yeah, I don't
is gonna
know.
destroy all life as we know it, or something like that.
Something.
Yeah, I think
I thought that was Donut.
also the
Was that Donut? I thought it was a scavenger's daughter.
No, Donut's Harbinger of Doom title and everything else. Like, you know, I didn't know. We've got a lot of competition for destroying the world in this
That's
this
true.
universe right now.
I know. I guess I gotta take some notes when I read it all again because
Hmm.
Yeah,
there's a
and
lot to keep track of.
Yeah, this group is way ahead of me. I'm glad I'm the one asking the questions and not the one answering them because you guys have got your chops on the lore set up in this book.
I am actually going back and redoing the entire series just because of something Carl said at the very end when they were doing the big fight before Skolopendra became what she became. Carl said that the descriptions detailed the way to kill Skolopendra was with lightning. And
Oh yeah, all the clues.
I don't remember that at all. I missed it. So I'm going back to reread all of it
I
to
feel
see
like that was
if I can
on
find
floor
anything.
6.
He said it happened on multiple occasions, and he put the clues together, and I'm like, I missed that one.
I think it has something to do with the with what was going on floor 6 with the elf queen person. I forget what her name was.
He said it happened with a lot of like the item descriptions as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going into the Ascendancy game, and we're gonna have level 250 gods. I think we're pretty much capped in the low 100s from a level cap standpoint for the crawlers. So how are the crawlers at the levels that they have supposed to compete with entities that are level 250? And as they do with everything else going on, what would be the best outcome for the Ascendancy game?
I think that now that they're on the 12th floor, we have to remember that the gods can die now. They're not invulnerable. Yes, they are level 250, but now there's 24 of them partied up together, and other gods are going to be fighting other gods. So all it takes for them is for anyone who plays any type of game where it's competitive, all it takes is one god to be focused on another god, and they come in and gank them.
So that was a supernatural word and I like it. Yeah, I don't know if y'all watch Supernatural, but
Yes.
the word gank was used, and I'm still advocating for Dean to be Carl. I'm not letting go of that. You're not going
Of
to
course
convince
not.
me of it. I watched you know, I watched clips of Soldier Boy and everything, and I'm like, he's not too old. He can do it. But
As long as we get Alan Tudyk somewhere in the series, I'm okay.
so we're crawlers in the Ascendancy game. Only a god could win the Ascendancy game, right? But we need the crawlers to win the Ascendancy game. Has a crawler not won that before because no one's really ever made it and been able to compete at that level at this point in the dungeon crawl, or how
Do
does
the crawlers have to like
Well-
win the game? I think they just have to survive the floor.
The other thing is
Yes.
the entire thing's open now. They just have to make it to the end.
Yeah.
So wait, whenever we were talking at the end about what it meant to win the Ascendancy game, the AI said that whoever
Yes.
wins the Ascendancy game calls the shots from here forward,
He-
and
he changed the
unmitigated power.
rules.
So
Oh.
if a crawler isn't able to do that, and they give that power to a some chaotic, non-driven god, or if someone from outside of the universe wins the Ascendancy game, then it's game over for the crawlers. I feel like somebody crawler aligned, or somebody that's going to facilitate the survival of the crawlers, needs to win that game, and that's going to be a big goal. I don't think the
Well-
goal is just get by and not die here.
Well,
yeah.
the wording that he uses is interesting because he doesn't say it has to be a god. It says the winner will truly be a god.
Be a god.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
that's right. I
right,
forgot about
exactly.
that.
So,
I'm
and
glad
then
you
it
looked that
shows
up.
all the people involved and it shows Carl, so a crawler can win.
And look, we know. I mean, go to the end of the trains. Even though Grawl was being sponsored by the Maestro and all that happens, I just think nobody's been smart enough. And Carl's gonna have the capability, Doomsday Box, what have you, to be able to wipe everything out. And that's my theory. That's always been my theory, is that he's going to be able to release that box, wipe everything out, and at the heart of it, he's going to stay safe, because just like
Mhm.
Katya's bloodletting, it doesn't touch him, or it doesn't touch her. And so when he lets that box out, he can do it, kill all the gods, and still be remaining. That's
So-
that's my wild theory.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
even if
Wait,
even if
Angela's
he
got
doesn't,
something.
Yeah.
What's up, Angela?
So hear me out. This is gonna sound crazy, and I get that. But what if Carl or Donut, in theory, become a god? I mean, we already know Donut's amassing power. She's got outsane amounts of charisma, and with what she pulled off, last time, and she's still reeling from the effects of that. I think one way to amp up her storyline, and especially since we're gonna probably, at least in my mind, speed run a floor or two in the next
For
book,
sure.
then that storyline's gonna have to move just as quickly, and what better way to do that than to make her a god?
Mhm.
So
It's a
with
good one.
that, two things come to my mind. First off, Carl has been central in the story, but hasn't been the pinnacle achiever except on the leaderboard. And Denneman likes to keep him close to the top, but not necessarily at the top. It seems like, where you'd think that things that Donut have power scaled would have happened to Carl, or some of the things where other characters have power scaled outside of the norm of crawlers generally haven't happened to Carl. He's been more like connected with the AI, has been one of his major advantages. And so we go here to this point in the story of who's going to win the Ascendancy game. I don't think that Carl gets placed on the throne necessarily. Maybe he does, but who, if not Carl, would be the best candidate? Donut, maybe, because that helps her fulfill the Harbinger of Doom and some of the titles that she's been given, or the prophecies that she's been told to fulfill. Or could it be somebody else that works with the two of them to further their end?
Just Prepotente is gonna win it all.
Yes.
Good call.
It'd be a crazy twist.
thought.
Prepotente's the
Good-
god at the
good
end.
thought. I mean, that you can't discount Prepotente
No.
as a candidate, because he's been consistently set up as being important. And I've always felt like it would be somebody, if somebody's put in that position, that kind of power, that loves Carl, and that's how like it gets through to the end. But also, it isn't the expected choice, or still is an agent of chaos in one way or the other. Because Matt wouldn't do anything else. It has to be something crazy. Prepotente is a good call. I think that's possible.
It'd be crazy. I think Imani would be probably the best choice,
Yeah, but he's gonna kill her, Imani.
but she's gonna be dead. So
What about Ellie? Let's not discount.
Ellie
I
would
was
be
gonna
amazing.
say Ellie,
She'd be
Let's not
avenging
Ellie
all
would be
the
an
girls.
agent of
Bad.
chaos.
but I also worry about Ellie only because there was people trying to take her out with this whole fan club thing.
Sure.
Like I still kind of worry about her on that side.
Also, she's gonna do her final build on the 12th floor. So
I'm interested to see that. That's
I don't know what that's
like
gonna
the
be.
4 seasons thing. You know
Mhm.
Yeah.
that she has.
Yeah, nobody's ever gotten the 4 seasons.
yeah, and she's gonna be
Mhm.
super powerful. So I mean,
I
Ellie
can
could
kind
be.
of see a storyline where Ellie like sacrifices herself to maybe save Imani.
Don't say that.
We think I know I don't like it, but
She has
to
lived a
bring her
long
arc,
life.
like, she did
Why
get
would you
second
put that
source.
evil on me,
No.
Ricky Bobby?
I mean,
Why?
it's
Okay.
preferable to like Donut dying, I guess.
So this marks the 50-minute mark of the hour, and I
No, and I have to leave, and I wanted to stay and talk about the Katabasis, but I
Katabasis.
can't.
I wanted you to also, but I understand if you have to go. We
Yeah.
will continue this book. Fortunately, we are 1/3 of the way through it at this point, and again, another week, and I have more opinions. So
I know, I can't wait to hear them too. I'm so sad I don't get to stick around for it.
I had opinions last week too. So anyway, all right.
I'm sure you do.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, I'll be here for next Monday as we can talk about.
Yeah.
I can hear all your opinions.
They're there and strong. So,
All right, well, bye everyone.
bye. So one of my picks for Katabasis on week 1 was that we didn't have an antagonist. So who all's read this? I know Chief, you're out on Katabasis. Dylan, you
No,
read
but
it?
I'm gonna listen because I think this is gonna be my next read.
All right, I'm
I
going to
think it's on
stop
my
you
list, yeah.
right there. If I didn't have a book club and I didn't feel obligated, if you've seen me posting about this book, I hate this book. I don't dislike
Do you
this
really?
book. I hate this book.
Tedious as fuck. Look, I loved Babel or Babel or however the fuck it's pronounced. I genuinely liked that book. I did not like Yellowface. I do not like Catabasis. I don't.
Okay.
It
Okay.
teased
Okay.
shit.
Well,
so-
I'm out now.
Yeah, and okay, I've said this because I used the word trash in a post this week, and I regretted it after I posted it because it's not trash. That's not the right word. Katabasis is a massive undertaking. She worked so hard on this book, and I feel her work. And it's a great high concept book. Like the concept for this book is really, the premise is excellent. Okay, and it should have been a very, very good book. But I've got a couple of points that I want to bring up. Chapters 1 through 6, I didn't see an antagonist that I could really root against. So my first questions for chapters 6 through 12 is Peter Murdoch our antagonist now, or is Alice our antagonist because she's just a jittery, angsty girl who like overthinks everything. Like
I talked about it before. Kind of. I think that the antagonist as a whole is just Hell. Like Hell is the antagonist.
as an environment.
Yeah, because like what it's making her think and what it's revealing about her and all that stuff. And towards the end, like towards the last couple of chapters, she then makes that realization of like, oh, Peter might leave me down here, right? And so, but is he actually going to do that, or is that just her in her head? Because
That's not been confirmed, but
yeah,
it's a veiled. It's a threat that Kwang's like thrown at us here.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of what she's doing is just showing how insecure Alice is, and a lot of this setup is and the problem is if I don't like the protagonist, it's hard to root for the protagonist, and I at this point I don't know that I'd be upset if like we went to Peter Murdoch and she got left behind or something like that, because I really don't like this girl that much. But you know, it's fair criticism, okay? And so the antagonist maybe as the environment, the antagonist maybe as the protagonist, and the antagonist maybe as Murdoch right now. But I still don't have something that I can point my finger at and swing at. And I'll go back to the Cinderella Man. Have y'all seen that book? Have y'all seen that movie? Okay, and the Cinderella Man, one of his greatest, and I thought it was one of the better lines in the book. You know, why are you getting in the ring and why are you fighting? He's like, well, when I'm in the ring, at least I know what I'm punching at. You know, and you know, he was able to, like, in the Great Depression, like if it's an environmental antagonist, that's like a Great Depression book where you can't really put your finger on who you're fighting necessarily. I know it isn't the Bone Puppies, which I still don't understand, but
The bone things.
the Bone Puppies. What's up?
But like, try to think of it this way, because this is the only thing that's helping me right now.
Okay,
Is like
I'm looking for
imagining
something to help me. So
yeah. So like, what's helping me kind of root for her right now is like, okay, so her own hell is herself. So she's experiencing hell being trapped in her
that
own
makes
mind.
two of us. Like
You're okay. When I tell you, reading this book makes me feel like I'm in purgatory.
Yeah.
I guess,
Okay.
you know, she made us feel the themes of the book so viscerally that we just want out of hell, just like the rest of them, you know. But
So like in my head, that's like, okay, girl, I've got anxiety too, so like I'm trying to sympathize with you here, but like, come on.
Like, don't let your teacher experiment on you.
We do get that, we do get that reveal of this magic system where she has the pentagram on her,
Hey.
and now she can remember everything.
and I like the you know, they say with good magic systems there's a cost associated with the power that you gain, and so I like that you're plucking this out for me to focus on a positive aspect of it. I think that's pretty cool that you can that's part of it. I thought that being thrown in the river, I was really surprised when she came out of the river without amnesia, you know, and it was because of that. That was a neat construct. I think that the river might be a way for her to get rid of that construct at some point in her walkthroughs as a prediction, but yeah, that's fair enough. But we're still spending what percentage of the time in introspection? Give me a guess of the writing.
But I think that's the like I said, I think that because hell is the antagonist, we're just living in like introspection and flashback basically, and that's what we're gonna be doing the whole time. Because then they go into the room of desire and she starts having these like her own issues with all that stuff, which kind of makes me hint at the fact that more than likely not only was Homeboy doing weird experiments on her, but he was probably just being weird.
I'm anxious to find out. She keeps denying it because as a woman, it's assumed that if she's in a position of power in academia, she earned her way on her back, and so it's been something where like that's been assumed about her, and she has shame associated and anger associated with that that's driving her. But you know, as a character development side, sure, I think that R.F. Kuang really thought about this character and how to develop her, and then spent the whole book doing it. But I got something loud. But they're spending so much time doing this that we're not doing anything in action. Okay, I mentioned blocking earlier as an issue. Blocking being the reference of being able to understand what you are spatially, where you are, and envision the scene. How do you guys feel? Like, we went through the lust level, which was, I guess she and I had expectations of seeing what that looked like. Kana, I'm gonna pick on you because you've been quiet today, girl. So I'm gonna make you talk. How do you feel? Like, could you picture the lust level in her mind as she walked through it? Like, was it a set piece? Was it something that was memorable to you or skimmed over?
I mean, yeah, I feel like based on, I mean, I said last time that I had a lot of trouble visualizing what they were talking about, and that was probably some of the clearest visualizations, just based on how she described it and her reactions to what was around her. So yeah, I mean, that was an interesting scene. I'm more interested in the book now, although I'm going to branch out and say, I know this is something we talked about last week too, just the magic system we were a little disappointed in, and now we know that like they can't even do magic down here, like their chalk doesn't work. So I think that's another frustration for me at this point, is like I was hoping to see like how are they going to use these pentagrams to help them? What will it look like? Will we get more action where they have to figure out how to use magic?
So an editor goes in and they ask you at the beginning of the book, what do you promise in the first 2 chapters? And one of the worst things that you can do with a book is make a promise about what's going to happen in the first 2 chapters and then lie to the readers. I expected hell and magic, and I'm getting a little bit of one of those things. And so, it's because it's a hallway of dormitory rooms that she can peek inside. And of any of the expressions of Dante's hell, I feel like that's the least interesting expression of Dante's hell that I could have ever imagined, personally. Dylan, what do you think about the blocking? You're our native writing expert.
I think that it's one of those things where we talked about it before with how chapter 6 is 100 pages in, the end of chapter 6, right? And the end of chapter 12, I don't have, because I have my Kindle version, I don't know what the page count is.
It's more similar than you'd think, but it's
about 200.
We're about a third of the way through the book right now.
So it's about 200 pages roughly. Okay, so I think that reveal of like, hey, we're going here, and this is everything that's going to happen, and then so far it's just not paying out, is more so, can the editor be like, hey, you're not supposed to lie to your writer? Sure. But I think that blocking itself is more so, there has to be a huge payoff if it's not, right? If we're doing all this, it doesn't work, it doesn't do this, then at the halfway point of the book, by the halfway point of the book, there has to be a massive payoff. And I think a small reveal is, one, the one that's tattooed on her, and 2, when they state with Dante that they went into hell with enchanted items, not chalk. So I think that they're going to probably find ways to make inscriptions on things, if not themselves with the knives, or an item or something.
Sure, or bones. Like, we see the inscriptions working on our bone puppies, and they work in those aspects, so they need to work somewhere else. But they also said the inscriptions on the bones were so small that it would be impossible for someone of their skill level to perform. So I think the tattoos probably have the biggest ability to give them some sort of power. But if I'm just saying, who can get away with waiting to page 250 or 300? There's no debut author on this planet that gets away with putting this book out right here.
No. But that's what I said last time, is that she's going off of, I've put out the Poppy War, I've put out Babel, I've put out Yellowface. So that's 5 books that she's been successful on, right? So it's like, hey, here's my 6th book.
I want a literary award. I think that's what she wrote this book, and she wants to win some recognition from the writing community, not from the commercial community.
I agree.
And so, if I were studying this in school and I had a let's say that they took this book and in a philosophy class used this as a framework to make reading or understanding philosophy more interesting, I think that could work really well. But for me, trying to not fall asleep while driving because I can't read it, I have to listen to the audiobook so that I'll keep going. The it's a little rough. So, Peter's endgame. Do you think Peter is in his notes was thinking that Alice was going to betray him? Because that was the impression that I got, is that he was trying to predict what if Alice, as a question, what if Alice tries to leave me in hell? There's a lot of what if Alice that could be Peter not trusting her, betraying him, and on the same subject, what apple did she pick?
I have a hard time imagining Peter as the antagonist. Like, I think along the same lines of you. It's like he thinks Alice is going to do something crazy to him to get Grimes. And I don't know what apple she chose because she was having like a mental health crisis when she had to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if she drops Peter into the web of what's her face's, this goddess who's wanting to drop people in her web to not be lonely or whatever, how does the story progress? What can they do to make it right after she does that? I don't feel like anyone would tolerate being left alone with Alice other than Peter Murdoch. So for the reader, we have to keep Peter in the story. I'm rough on this book. I need to be better. I'm sorry.
I mean, I literally fell asleep reading it this weekend, so just put that out there.
All right. Well, you guys have done it. If you were trying to convince me not to read this, you guys
I
have
will make
nailed it.
a confession.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I took this off my list.
Yeah, I'll make a confession. The first 6 chapters I read last Monday. The next 6 chapters I read today, because I have to have it in my memory that recently, or I will forget it.
No, fair.
Yeah, it goes in, and I mean, I've kind of delayed on this, and I started The Bone Shard Daughter today. Have any of y'all read that book before?
No.
Who wrote that?
It starts out. It was listed as a potential comp for a relationship comp, like not like how the book's written, but just how the relationships. It's Andrea, female author. So far, I like it. Really neat magic system that's presented very early, where they make like almost like, what was that? The Island of Dr. Monroe. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So they build constructs like that are like grafted animals using a bone shard from the citizen somehow. It hasn't been explained yet, but it's been visually captivating because they describe some of these like animal amalgamations. Andrea
I've seen this book.
Andrea
Stewart
Andrea Stewart is her name.
Yeah.
And so
I would say you're reading that, and I'm currently reading Malice by John Gwynne, and it's like night and day in terms of like me wanting to read.
Me wanting to read versus doing it. I'm sticking in this for you guys, for the big YOU. If it wasn't for y'all and our talks, it just shows the links that I go to want to hang out with you guys on a weekly basis. This is the greatest compliment that I could pay you, is that I continue reading Katabasis. So, any other thoughts? Without magic, how they defend themselves in an increasingly dangerous underworld. I think Kana's...
With a knife.
Yeah, that's all we got so far. By falling into the river and like mutual suicide that I get out of, and that was a neat magic reveal though. But the flashbacks, at least there's some action and dialogue in the flashbacks, but it feels very petty and uninteresting to me. So any other magic system ideas other than the tattoos? That's the only way I could see them moving this forward.
like I said, my thing is that if it's not going to be tattoo, it's gonna, and knowing her writing and how dark she can get from Poppy War, it's gonna be them. It may not be a tattoo. They probably will just carve stuff into them with a knife.
Do something
Yeah.
really like gory.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand. How did the bone puppies chew on her and she's just fine? Did anyone else wonder about that?
Just
Magic.
minor scrapes and bites, you know. Nothing.
It seemed
no
like
problem.
she got like it bit her
Attacked.
shoulder and like
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yes.
Word, mauled would be the word I would use.
I mean, I don't know. I still picture little bone puppies like something out of like a what was that Disney animated movie with the guitar on Dia dos
Coco?
Coco, yeah, Coco. Like it's like picture that's how I picture the bone puppies a little bit.
See, that's not what I had in my head at all. I had Resident Evil 0 happening.
She said they were cute. She said they were cute. Like
That is true.
Peter tried to pet one, and it like almost took his arm off. And then they mauled her, and she got a couple of scratches. So maybe they are cuter than what we gave them credit for. You know, a minute ago. Like, you know, I don't know.
I need to look at some fan art. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
maybe
guys,
not
I have
like
to step
Zero,
off.
like Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we're about done anyway. We're wrapping up. Yeah, something like that. Something a little cuter than what I'm picturing on this. So, all right. Well, you know, until somebody tells me otherwise, I will once again read 6 more chapters of Katabasis before next week, just so y'all can hear me complain. I don't know. I will endure it as long as y'all can endure me complaining about it. So.
I mean, I think we can all complain together and we can bond over it. So it'll be great.
Shared trauma. This is what this is
Yay!
how a group
I will
comes
be
together.
sending I will be sending a palate cleanser recommendation to the group chat because we're gonna need it after this.
If it wasn't so bad for membership, I'd suggest anyone who like wanted to join our fantasy book dungeon family have to read Katabasis with their group first. It's like a tradition, just so that they can. It's like
Fucking
it's
battle
like,
scars.
It's like being
A
a
rite of
pledge in a
passage.
fraternity or something, you know, and like you have to do your elephant
This is
walk and
hazing.
spank it.
This is hazing.
Hey,
Yes.
it's book club
I was-
hazing.
I was taught by the Navy that hazing is not appropriate in any conditions.
You're right. I was
I-
also taught that by the Navy.
You were taught that, yeah. That we all, yes. But I'm just saying, you know, it's our own form of hazing, and I feel like it's a lot meaner than spankings. So at least those are over quickly, you know, and their chapters aren't 80 pages long. So yeah, no, we'll see, we'll see. Okay, well, any final thoughts before we part once again for a week?
Yeah, did you guys see the new shirt? The new Parade of Horrible shirt?
Oh,
Ooh.
you always have the gear, man.
Yeah, I went to Hot Topic. He was literally I bought three other shirts. He pulled this one out of he was like, "Oh, I got something." He went and pulled it out of the box, and I was so happy.
I didn't know that a Hot Topic still existed. I remember going to the mall and seeing Hot Topic whenever I was in like high school, and that was a big deal, you know, in mall culture back in the day.
For sure.
Well, I
Did
got
you
the
even
faces of
grow
more.
up in a small southern town if your mom didn't have a panic attack walking by the store?
Everyone had a skater face, okay? Everyone had a skater face. I loved Bam Margera. I've been sad to see what's happened to that guy. Like Viva La Bam was the stuff.
Hey, but Hot Topic, they've got some cool shirts.
They do.
The
They
Dungeon
do.
Crawler. I got the faces of Mordecai after now we need the Grim Reaper eyeball flaming face on there. That is one of the biggest things in this book too that gets me is Mordecai and the scary I will never look at a Grim Reaper the same.
We didn't talk
Yeah.
about that, Matt is so mean to Mordecai. He's like the most picked on character in the whole series, I think.
It really is.
He is the butt of the joke. All right, well, thanks so much, guys. It was fun hanging out, and we will do it again next week.
Yeah.
Cool. See y'all then.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.